Hey there, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Last Minute Continue cast for the month of September 2019. I am John Turbo Finley, back again, being the host of this, monthly cast that happens every month on the Last Minute Continue YouTube channel and on iTunes and various other audio outlets that this file will be available for. So glad for you to tune in. Yes. This week, or this month even, we have not the returning ones from last month, but we have a new Last Minute Continue crew member here to talk about their month of September, of what they've done in the world of movies, games, other visual medias, books even, if that comes up. We have that of the pirate known as Urtheart, Mr. Josh I've forgotten your last name, actually.
That's right, I don't want people to know it.
Oh, well, fair enough. Well, Josh, yeah. Big Josh here.
Hello.
How you doing, good sir?
Busy. The month of October is going to be exceedingly busy for me.
Yeah, well, that's for next month. If you ever show up for that month's
I can
cast.
guarantee you I won't be able to because I think I'm working that weekend.
Well, there you go. That's already confirmed it for next month. So don't expect Josh to return next month.
I think I'll be at MCM in the XL London.
Ah, well. But nevertheless, yeah, aye. But nevertheless, we got September to talk about, and we'll just go straight into it with our talks on the movies that we've probably seen. And I say movies, it's just been movie because I've only had a chance to see one movie this month for it. But there was another one that came out this month that I was kind of intrigued to go and see, possibly, but I haven't gone around to see it. That being the new Joker film and whatnot.
Is that out already?
Yeah, it's apparently it's out already. It's out in theaters.
I thought it might be in the States, but I didn't know if it was here.
I think advertisement tailed it as like the tail end of September and whatnot, and I could have gone to see it, but no. The main one that I wanted to see this month was that of It Chapter 2. I was talking about it last month on the cast, and now that I've actually gone and seen it for this month, I can give a little insight of what I can say about the film. I'll definitely say this much, and it's like it wasn't as impressive as the first film to me. I feel as though that everything that was established in the first film, yes, it just carried on from what happened after the events of the first film, and that's kind of evident by the premise of the story, of its original story and whatnot. But I just felt though it wasn't done as well as the first one. I think I feel as though that there was slight elements that just didn't match up, and certain kind of like character kind of like relationships with the adult versions of the characters just didn't mesh well, essentially.
Is this are you familiar with the book at all?
No, I've never been familiar with the book. I've just been familiar with the miniseries, the original miniseries that happened long ago, and that wasn't even. I haven't actually watched the actual series in general. I've just watched reviews of it, particularly that of Dana's Film Den review of the miniseries. She's quite the good analyst when it comes to horror movies and talking about them and whatnot, and going into a little bit of the lore. And she's done a lot of Stephen King stuff. She did Misery as well at one point, and it made me want to. It's making me wanting to go find a Blu-ray copy of the It miniseries and actually watch that all the way through. But no, she also just did recently a review of like a full-on film den of It Chapter 1 and how she liked that one. And I feel as though she might be in the same ballpark as me after watching the second film another go, I think, because I felt as though the second one could have been better, but that's just my opinion, obviously.
I think from what I've heard, the problem isn't as well. It is slightly the movie, but also the source material as well, because the source material, from what I know, just wasn't considered quite. The second part wasn't quite considered as good, but I must admit I've not read the books. I've seen a synopsis of the books themselves, which is quite interesting because it shares stuff with other Stephen King novels. It's actually a lot of his novels seem to be quite connected.
Mm-hmm. I heard of One Element being quite the connection to it, and that wasn't showcased because it wasn't showcased in or implemented into the miniseries, and it wasn't implemented in the second theatrical It film either. And I feel as though that helps it for the better. I think because we don't really need an SKU.
Stephen
it's
King.
like a Stephen King universe, you know.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think I've not seen either movie yet, and I've not read the book, so it's really hard for me to judge. But I'm not a big horror fan. It just bores me, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like if you're not into horror, this is definitely not a series of films that you shouldn't be watching at all. If it doesn't grab you in any shape or form, the jump scares. The most problem that I had with the second film was that its CGI effects wasn't as believable as what the first film's CGI effects were, and there was a lot more kind of like practical effects I felt done in the first film than there was in the second film, and I think just several kind of like elements in the film just didn't tie in well with me. I'm not gonna spoil it, although granted, what's to spoil because it's based on a book that's like over 30 years old now, and even the miniseries is like coming up to 30 years as well.
I think the big thing with it will be that a lot of the generation probably going to watch this movie haven't watched the book.
To watch they just looked at a book.
they
just looked at the book and just hoping to say, "Do something, book."
You know, Stephen King's It, while it's probably one of his most famous ones, Stephen King used to hold a lot more sway over name. There's been a lot more horror authors that people are familiar with in the modern day now, so while Stephen King is definitely a legend in his right, I feel a lot of younger generations haven't read those books. So maybe this is the way to get them into reading the books.
Oh, won't they be surprised when they do actually read that book? If it's still the original version of the book, from what I've heard. So,
fair enough. As I said, I couldn't quote on that one. I actually like the concept of it quite a bit, and Pennywise's powers, let's say, they genuinely interest me, but it's just something I've never got round to.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Pennywise as an entity in the film and whatnot has been like a figurehead for that book and series and whatnot. And I although granted it's not supposed to be, but he is an influential figure of that, of Stephen King's work essentially, and
I'd say of that kind of horror genre, he's very much a icon.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. It's not meant to be, but apparently it's the case. Yeah,
probably the reason a lot of people are afraid of clowns.
Yeah, it's pretty much the big point of where people found their fear of the thing. I've forgotten what the medical term for it is, but
I actually have to look that one up. It's like chlorophobia or something.
Yeah, it's the irrational fear of clowns is that I think spawned from.
Oh wow! I actually got it almost right.
Oh well, there you go. What's it officially?
I don't know how you actually supposed to pronounce it. It's coulrophobia. Coulro phobia.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. Coulrophobia.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I still feel that if you're wanting to give it a try. Well, granted, I mean, theater prices now here in the UK at least, it's like you can go into a theater for like a $5 now. So if you've got $5 to spend,
depend where you live, I'll tell you that.
yeah,
now.
of course. Well, it is depending on where you. I mean, here up in the UK or here up in the Highlands and whatnot, with the main theater being that of View Cinema and whatnot, their showings is a $5 each for a standard ticket and whatnot.
£8. The View's my nearest cinema, and it's £8, I think.
Oh wow!
Except for Friday, except for Mondays, it's £4.99.
All right, okay. Well, it's just always been £5 up here. Well, ever since the change. But who knows? They might change it again. But no, if depending on your budget and theater outlet that you have in your local area, if you got the money for it, give it a shot. If not, wait until it hits rental streaming services and stuff like that. I don't know where it could possibly end up being, but no. But if you haven't watched the first film, go watch the first film. It's readily available everywhere and whatnot. And yeah.
Here's a good question for it. Is the first film essential to watch the second film? I'd assume yes.
Yes. You do need to actually watch the first film to understand the second, even though the second does have like a lot of like callbacks and flashbacks to this to the events of the first film, but it still requires some kind of like understanding of the characters and whatnot with a viewing of the first film. So I would definitely recommend watching the first film first and then watching the follow-up.
Speaking of the other clown, 4th of October, Joker supposedly comes out, so that's for next month.
Oh, right. So it probably... I've just been seeing advertisements all over the place, and I thought, it's out in theaters now. Oh.
It is out in America, but not in the UK.
Right, okay.
Or
so
it's out in like
sense.
early premiere versions or something like that.
Oh, well. But yeah, any films you got a chance to see, Earth?
To be quite frank, the last film I saw was in December, so no.
Well, in that case, then we'll just move on straight to what we've watched in other forms of media. I don't know if you've watched anything on the anime side, but I've been watching a lot of anime, and I've actually been watching a lot of Netflix as well. Because I had this month, I had a free month of Netflix. I gave it a good run. Finally got to finish off Castlevania. Watched the last few episodes of that I didn't get a chance to watch, and apparently there's a third season of that on the way sometime. I don't know when.
It's proving popular.
It is proving popular, and I'm surprised there's not much in the way of kind of like talk about it since that announcement. I don't know when the second season like ended or when it was all released on Netflix and when they announced the third one. So yeah, it's just a matter of time, I suppose. The other things I did check out She-Ra, Princesses of Power on Netflix, and I do agree with Pete. It's a really good series, and I do look forward to what they do for He-Man whenever they get to release that on Netflix. There was also another show that was on there that I saw a pilot of through, I think it was like Cartoon Network's worldwide YouTube channel, and on Netflix it's called 12 Forever, and it's one of these kind of like half episode series things. So it's like 11-minute episodes of like stories about this girl who's just turned 12, and she's wanting to escape from reality and whatnot, and she has this place that she goes to with her friends or friends eventually, and there is a bit of a little bit of a story arc like in the later half of the episodes and whatnot, and I kind of relate to that actually, because I always liked to, especially when I was younger, just wanting to escape from reality and just not wanting to deal with the outside world and the various things. Although granted, I still kind of do that right now because the outside world sucks, and don't we see it every single day? But I
mean, it's kind of wet at the moment where I am. So yeah, I don't think I want to go outside.
it's probably the same for myself out here. It is Scotland after all.
True.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of the other series. I've watched, finished up a couple of animes that was there. I've forgotten the title of it. It's I think uh, it's like I think it's Are You Sure? I think it's an anime where and it's actually quite bad. I shouldn't be actually talking about this because it's actually quite fan servicey. But it's like four girls getting washed up on a deserted island, and one of them is actually a survivalist. Like she, was out and about with her dad a lot of the time, so she learned all these kind of like survival skills and whatnot. And she's teaching these other three girls who are completely like got no survival skills whatsoever, and it gets to the point where it's like, they're stripping down to their underwear to go into the water to hunt for fish and stuff like that, and various other very questionable things that could be that's done, especially in the last episode. Oh my god. And that just finished up that season and whatnot. There was another series of on Crunchyroll that I've just finished up, or it just finished up. Was I was like, do you love your mother? Even her two hit multi attack thing. I can't remember the exact title for it, but the premise is that the main hero, who's a guy, is sent to this computer fantasy world by the government for some bizarre reason. But the catch is that you have to take your mother with you as well. And he's trying to be like the hero of his own story in this fantasy world, but his mother is outshining him in every way. Like she's like overpowered, and
I mean, as mothers are.
It is kind of funny because like certain aspects of like mothers being overly protective and motherly and stuff like that, and it does actually delve in that with other like other characters that you meet up and or he meets up with, where some of the other mothers are either like very greedy and not wanting to play be like the mother that they should, or they're being too over protective or overbearing to the daughter. Well, it's mostly daughters that the main protagonist sees, obviously, because it's like a harem almost to a certain case. Yeah, I mean, it had its comedic elements, but again, it's got a bit of fan service in there, a little bit of dash in it. Yeah, it's like, I mean, granted, any of those animes that I've just mentioned, I really couldn't really, recommend unless you're really into that, but, whatever. But, everyone's got a niche, I guess. Anything you've watched, Josh?
Let me go a little bit more safe for work, but still into a very interesting niche of how do you like Catgirl cartoons? So there's a little mini series that I've been watching just because I follow the YouTuber. The YouTuber's called Van Ripper, and he's currently working on a series called Daystone. It's kind of an experimental series, see how it works, but it's basically about this Mary Sue cat who's well overpowered and trying to find these precious gems called Daystones. And every episode, something happens and it rolls into the next episode. So the first episode, she fights a giant stone golem. The result of what happens to that fight affects the thing that happens in the next episode, and something that happens in that episode affects what happens in the next episode. It's very short. The episodes are only 2 minutes long each, average. But it's a very nice little cartoon series from a guy who's literally just trying to find an interesting style. He kind of got famous through doing a very short set of series of his cat girl from Skyrim, where he animated her doing various stuff, in meme-worthy stuff, basically. It's only got 3 episodes, but I'm looking forward to seeing anything if anything more comes from it. So yeah, it's a nice little one. So yeah, look for Van Ripper. It's all one word.
Cool. I'll definitely have to give that a shot. I mean, animation on YouTube and whatnot can be very thin.
Yeah.
I would say, because it does take a lot of time to animate stuff. I mean, look at what was it? Harry Partridge, I think.
Yes.
It's like his work is exceptionally high class, high caliber and whatnot, but he's not producing episodes like on a monthly basis and whatnot. Sometimes
it's closer
it takes
to
him
about
like
yearly.
yeah, it's like
time.
yearly basis.
Although to be
at this
fair
point.
to him, the reason that's his personal project. He actually has a lot of other work he does professionally, but yeah, he can't showcase that on his YouTube channel. So,
Of course. But yeah, I mean, I think we can just move on from what we watched and whatnot to what we've played with the games that we've probably been playing this past month. And of course, one of the titles that I was adamant to talk about from last month that I didn't get a chance to because I didn't get a chance to play it. I have been playing countless hours into it now, and I am finally ready to talk about. It's that of Astral Chain, Platinum Games' latest entry of into the gaming world and whatnot, and it has quite the caliber of studio members from the Platinum studio to kind of like showcase in this game as a kind of like a bounce back from the shutdown of Scalebound, sadly, but I'll tell you this much: I wasn't liking the game in the first maybe like 4, 5, 6 hours or something like that. Like maybe like the first 2, 3 chapters, or files as they're known in this one. I wasn't feeling it for the first time at first, because I felt that the combat was a little, it does take a lot of getting used to, but once you've leveled up yourself enough to be stronger and you get a grip with the controls, I had to like modify the controls, because you got like presets controls, and there was one preset that I felt comfortable with, so I went with that. And once you got that down, and once you get the flow of the combat and whatnot, it does become fun. And the whole premise of like future cops with these JoJo. I've forgotten what they call them in JoJo Bizarre Adventures. Stands, yeah. It's like a pseudo stand. Police cops with stands. It's like, it's like, it's quite a ridiculous thing, but it's it works. I don't know if you've had a go at it yourself.
It's on my to-do list. I don't own a copy yet, though. I'm able to borrow one at some point. I'm thinking about borrowing it when I start doing some trips around events later this month, next month, I should say. So it's something. It's definitely one that's in my interest. I just have not had the time yet.
Yeah, I mean, I've been seeing it being sold out in my store like multiple times. Like, I've not seen another copy come back in for a while now. So it's definitely showing that the interest is there, and a lot of people are enjoying it. And it did actually hit the UK #1 chart on its week of release.
Yes,
which granted, not much came out that week, but to have that accolade, to have a UK #1 being a Platinum Games game, which isn't Bayonetta,
it's their first #1. They've never had a UK #1 before.
Yeah, because they've released top titles like Mad World, Bayonetta 2, all those kind of like titles. What was it? Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance.
I'm surprised that one didn't hit #1.
Yeah, it's like Transformers, Devastation, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutants in Manhattan. All these kind of like all these games, both original IPs and licensed games, not a single one was a #1, and yet this game that came out of nowhere, that literally got announced like I think like 6 months before its actual release, and it becomes a UK number one. It's
you say a lot. Not a lot came out that week. It was actually quite a busy week.
Was it?
You had Control.
Oh yeah.
You had Blair Witch.
Well, which was a digital title. I don't think it had any kind of like physical release of it.
Oh,
I didn't see a physical release.
I'm not 100% sure on that one. World of Warcraft Classic. Which,
okay, that's just an update on. Oh, well, I say an update. It's like a download and
the
whatnot.
reverse. But you say that it was a big release. I mean, no matter which way you look at it, it attracted a lot of people.
Yeah, but we're talking like all the when it comes to the UK like charts, I don't think it's taken into consideration downloads. I think it's
World of Warcraft had a physical release though. Classic did.
All right. Okay. Fair enough.
I believe it was exclusive to certain retailers, though. I don't.
Right.
Think the game had
so it limited its release or its sales on that.
Yeah, I think it was like sold through Activision stores only, stuff. But it was still. I mean, we're still talking in the millions for physical. So.
Oh well. But yeah, to be able to outrank any of those for the UK market at least,
especially Control.
That's a
Control. I would have expected to beat it, and it had because 3 extra days on top of it because it was a Tuesday release.
Yeah, with it being Remedy's next entry in the series, and a lot of people love the Remedy studio. I'm surprised that a lot of people were just not on board with that one, but who knows? But no, I would definitely say if you have gotten Astral Chain and you're getting a bit dismayed with how it's working out for you so far in the early stages of the game, please, for the love of God, just stick with it. It will get better over time. Plus, you actually will become, more attached to the side characters over time, especially Marie. I think that's her Marie, because she's your atypical kind of like cute character that you want to protect because she's got a fun attitude to herself. And of course she has a secret. She has a secret in the game, and you have to obviously you'll find out what it's kind of blatant what that secret is after a while. Pretty much after you first meet her. Essentially, it's ridiculous. But no. What else have I been playing recently?
Shall I go with one next?
Yeah, go ahead, crack on.
So I think the first game that some people want to hear about, the biggest clue I can give is Honk.
Oh, Untitled Goose Game.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I actually managed to win a 10 quid voucher on Nintendo, so I put that towards this. And I've played about 2 hours of it so far. It's a very nice, relaxing game. The best genre I could give it is a puzzle game. But it's kind of a mixture between that and stealth, to a certain extent. Sometimes you actually want to break that stealth, but
when you think of that like that, and what I've seen from like footage and whatnot, I feel as though it's like a 3D adventure tile, kind of like those old school kind of like point and click
stuff, yeah.
Kind of like adventures. Like Secret Monkey Island, King's Quest, all those kind of like style games.
I mean, to be fair, they were also kind of puzzle games. Just sometimes the puzzles were weird.
Yeah, well, there were logic puzzles essentially. They were like okay, I need this item for this situation essentially, and that's what Untitled Goose Game is all about. And I'm still surprised that they just called it Untitled Goose Game. They couldn't think of any other title for the thing. No, they just stuck with the name.
It's what people originally called it, and then it just stuck because that's what people knew it as.
Yeah.
So the basic premise of it, if you haven't guessed, is you are a goose, be a shit. But you do have a to-do list of being shit. So, for example, the very first... The game's kind of broken into areas, so you... start in one area, and once you've done enough in that area, the way will open up to the next area. You'll get a new to-do list specifically for that area, and so on and so on. So to take the first area, for example, your objectives are, I believe, steal the gardener's hat. to make him wear a girly hat, steal his keys, make a picnic setup, because why not? I don't remember the rest, but there's various different... put the rake in the lake. That was one of them. But it's just figuring out how these all do. The actual get him to wear a different hat one is actually quite difficult, per se. Because if you start just messing about, he's going to be spending all of his time trying to fix what you've messed up, and he'll never get to a point where you can grab his hat. Thankfully, every time you complete an objective, that's it saved. You can restart the level, and you'll still have that saved. It's not a long game from what I've heard, and unfortunately that makes me question whether it's worth the asking price. I think it's almost 15 quid.
Yeah, I mean, I do recall, what was it? There was a discount for its launch.
Yes.
For it, so that helped a little bit.
Yeah, but I think wait for it to go on a sale. If you can get it for a £5, definitely get it. If you can get it for a £10, maybe if you think it's something that really interests you. I think it's a really nice game between other games, kind of one. Like, just something to relax to, just something when you can't bother, just think, I'm just going to terrorize people as a goose, because why not?
And the memes that this has obviously spawned after its release, it's been ridiculous. I've seen multitudes of...
But it's deserved. It is genuinely a nice, charming game, and kudos to the developers. It is very well done.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the new kind of... I wouldn't say it's like the new Five Nights at Freddy's or anything like that, or Undertale and everything like that. It's a new like aspect for that, because you'll be seeing like, I mean, now you'll get people saying "Goose for Smash" now.
Oh god, like, yeah, but people
would just say "Goose for Smash" and stuff like that. So, I'm sure that's gonna happen in the next couple of weeks or so.
I mean, definitely, if you have the ability to give it a try, give it a try. It's genuinely enjoyable. I've yet to finish it, so we'll see how long it takes me. But that's my basics for it. Yeah, Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah, cool. Well, speaking of finishing, I did actually finish, Super Metroid for the first time. It took me a while, but I did finish it. Sorry?
It's a good classic.
Oh, yeah. I died a multitude of times. Speaking of dying, of course, I've been dying a lot in the hero mode for Link's Awakening for the Switch. I thought I would be easy enough to not go through there without dying, but apparently not. I've died already 38 times or something like that. I don't know. But I've only just started, and that's part of my Wednesday streaming sessions and whatnot at the moment, and probably will continue throughout the rest of October, and I'll have more to talk about it after I've beaten it. I also gave... at the end of this month, end of September, started another game that I haven't played before, which was Mega Man X. A lot of people love that game. I've given it a shot. I've died multiple times on that because I don't know how to play the game right. I'm surprised
you kind of learn techniques with it. The problem with the older Mega Man titles, Mega Man X isn't quite as bad for it, is the fact that in order to scale the difficulty up, you're just punished so harshly. If you don't know stuff how are you supposed to know? Like, how are you supposed to know which boss is weak to which weapon? Which boss should you start with? Because he's fairly easy to defeat with a standard buster. It's stuff like that.
I did know of certain things. I did know about, like, Spark Mandrel, like the weakness of that. And because I've seen many reviews of that with the likes of Gerard, the completionist review of Mega Man X and Spark Mandrel Syndrome and whatnot.
It's been a long time since I played that first one.
Yeah, so eventually I'll obviously finish that. I'll finish that next month in October, and I'll probably talk more about it.
Good luck on the final level.
Oh, lovely.
It's the same for every Mega Man game.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it's anything like Mega Man 2, which I have played before and I've never actually beaten. I don't think I've ever beaten Dr. Wily in the second game. But if it's anything like that,
every Mega Man game has the same trope at the end, and I don't think it's a good one. The final level, you have to fight every single boss again.
Yeah, boss rushes. If you're pressed for time, put in a boss rush. Case closed. I'm trying to think of other things to talk about in terms of games. I'm sure I've played a lot more this month. I mean, I've played a bit more. I've put my toe back in with a bit more of Grandia 2. I don't know if I talked about it last month, but Grandia 2, the Grandia collection came out on Switch, and I picked that up. Played a bit of 2 on my travels and whatnot. So I haven't really been delving too much into that. But it's nice to reminisce in an old game every so often. And I think that's pretty much me on the game front. What about yourself, Josh?
So, I mean, I have some regulars that I'm playing on a long-term basis, let's say. Final Fantasy XIV, which came out back in beginning of July, I believe. It's an MMO, so you're expected to play it a while. That's been keeping me going. Ironically, in the middle of this, I've had someone go, please come and help us do a dungeon, which I've had to say, can you give me, like, an hour? But it's still keeping my interest. I am waiting for the next big patch, though, which will add the new 32-man dungeon? No, that's not right. 8 times 3. 24-man dungeon, that's it. So, looking forward to that one. The other regular, which is my mobile phone game, is Final Fantasy Record Keeper. Yes, a lot of Final Fantasy. And that has just started its festival a couple of weeks. So, that'll keep me busy for a little bit. The only other new thing I played this month was the Medieval short-lived demo. Let's just say I was very disappointed.
Oh.
First of all, the menus stutter and lag like mad. That's not a good sign. The game seems...
And that's for a demo.
This is for a demo. The demo's 10 gig. But it seems really unpolished. Now, the main game itself seemed fine for the most part. It was just the menus. But the menus almost made me feel sick. And I don't get motion sickness or anything. It's just the amount of juddering was... that doesn't bring my confidence up with it. Within game...
that's a bit disheartening.
Yeah, within game it was mostly fine. The only issues were the fountains, which were always an issue in the original game. I don't know if they're trying to replicate it. Please don't. But you definitely get some frame drops when you're in health fountains. The biggest issue I have with the demo is its length. If you had an original PlayStation 1 and had the demo for Medieval, the demo was fairly extensive. You could play not including the intro level, Dan's Crypt, you could play almost 3 entire levels. You could play the graveyard, the path to the mausoleum, and the mausoleum itself. And the demo had a time limit, so it would be how far you got. But if you managed to reach the end of the mausoleum to the first boss, it would stop just before you start to fight the boss. In addition to
that's a bit of a tease.
It is, but for a demo, it was quite extensive. Still, the levels in Medieval are decent size. They're not short unless you know them and rush through them. But this demo only goes up to the end of the graveyard, the first level.
So that is very short.
It's very short. I finished the demo and basically 100%ed it within about 5 minutes. Now, bearing in mind I'm a big fan of the original, so I know the levels quite well. That's still, at least go up to what the original demo did. But probably...
I was going to say, with in comparison to the one-shot demo of the Resident Evil 2, I think it was like a 30-minute one-shot demo. It's like, granted, that little bit that you start off and whatnot in the police station, which can be completed if you're fast enough, you can pretty much complete that in 5 minutes. But for many people who would be like exploring, and taking their time with it and whatnot, it would take them about like closer to like 20 minutes
Mm-hmm.
essentially for that. So it's really disheartening that an action game like Medieval being, producing a demo that can be completed in such a short amount of time with only just that one level essentially.
And this was me, I wasn't rushing it, but going at a decent pace. The one thing that actually insults more, again, based on the fact the original demo, one of the things that happens in every level is if you kill enough enemies, you fill a Chalice of Souls. In fact, Chalice of Souls takes you to a secret area where you can get new weapons and upgrades. In the demo, you could get the first 2 of those, so you'd get the first weapon, special weapon, and I think you just get gold. No, you get an extra life bottle as the first reward. This doesn't even let you do that. It lets you collect the chalice, but then it just ends. It's like, where's my reward for collecting the chalice? You could have at least let me see the Hall of Heroes. But no, and why the demo's 10 gigabytes, I don't know.
It's just the graphics, I suppose.
The graphics are too much. Not that great. They're okay, they're fine. But there's definitely
compared to the first game, I'm sure the polygon count is obviously way above what it was back in 96.
Sure, but that does not account for 10 gig, and take that from experience.
Oh well.
But yeah, no, just generally disappointing. I'm still going to buy the game because it's 20 quid on release. I mean, even if it's a dud, I want to go through it and I want to do, critical analysis of it or something, but the demo has not put me in good spirits. There's a nice little touch with the helmet DLC they give you for playing it. The image they shows that the helmet has got a crack in the back where the arrow went all the way through Dan's skull, which then questions why there's not a crack in the back of his skull. So, yeah, nice touch, but doesn't really fit very well.
Oh, well. So we'll find out when the game fully comes out, and we'll probably get your thoughts on that in a future Last Minute Continue cast, I suppose.
I'm sure I will be happily able to give you that. But yeah, as a big fan of the original, I had hopes for this one. And the first trailer they released had some massive frame rate issues, which was worrying enough. And this new demo has not put me much confidence with the studio that's working on it, who I don't remember the name of because I'm horrible like that. Where's it gone? But yeah, it's a French studio, I think. There it is. It's being developed by Other Ocean, Emerville.
Kind of mind who they are.
I'm trying to remember what else they've done, but unfortunately Wikipedia does not have a link for them, so...
Oh, well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame, because I was really looking forward to this, but... We'll have to see.
Who knows? Who knows? We've had those moments in gaming where we weren't pleased with the demo that was produced for the game, and then when the full game comes out, we actually have more, appraisal for the full game.
Yeah.
After the fact and whatnot. So
I'm hoping that all they've done is just release this as a, hey, this is the demo everyone got to play at E3. We have been working on it since then. But,
which has been the case.
I don't have the confidence with this one at the moment.
Oh, well. But before we finish up the gaming section, you did talk about mobile games. I did forget about the mobile game that I've been playing and recently, which was the new Fist and North Star Legends Revive, or Legends Revival. It's one of the two, but it's a new Fist and North Star game that's produced by Sega for mobile devices, and that has obviously been eating up a lot of my kind of like personal time and whatnot. I did showcase it on Turbo Drive Live Let's Plays for 1 week as kind of like a filler gap, but of course it's definitely not something you can obviously showcase all the time. Well, Grant, I'm not the one to showcase it all the time. There are streamers who do that, and obviously Pete himself, he streams Dokkan for crying out loud, so he can definitely do a lot. But yeah, no, I have been enjoying that. Although granted, keep getting my backside handed to me in the dojo. Like there's way too many people who've been leveling up and putting too much money into the game, because it is a case of people putting the money in and buying gems to keep themselves going, and
Is that like
refreshing the
PvP or?
no, it's basically when you go into the dojo to face anyone and you challenge them for a position, it goes into auto. So it's like the computer AI takes control of the match.
Yeah.
And and sometimes it really annoys me that the AI does not focus on one character. It always like goes from like one character to another, and they don't kill one of the characters straight out. Because that's my strategy. That's always my strategy. It's like pick the first character first and wail on them with all of your characters until they're dead. Don't bother trying to attack anyone else, because if you do, that'll rise their special meter, and then they can pull off a special meter eventually, and that's always been the case. But regardless, getting through this, like the story mode, they just recently updated it because it was at a level cap of 55, I believe it was. They've just raised it to 59. Hopefully they'll raise it again to unlock, to also provide more, because they do have a story mode to it, and you can replay through the story, but however, it is locked behind certain level caps, and of course, if they lock the level cap, which is currently at 59 now, there won't be any story. So they're obviously working and progressing on that at the moment. So, but yeah, I think that's all the gaming stuff and whatnot. Just to kind of clear up some of the other things that has happened to me this past month. I went to a convention that was done in Milton Keynes, where there was.
I used to live near there. I suppose I technically still do at the moment.
But I was there for a fan convention called Seacon. Definitely gave me like flashbacks of Summer Sonic and whatnot, where it's a fan made convention. Obviously, this time around being that of Dragon Ball and whatnot. But I can definitely say, for a first convention, they went way beyond of what Summer Sonic ever did for a first convention. I'll definitely say that much. They had this massive hall. It was like it was technically a 3-day event, but it was like, because I got like the Ultra Instinct VIP pass and whatnot to get, which was cheaper than any of the other tickets for a 3-day event at the time. That, granted, it was like the event actually started like at 6 in the evening or 7 in the evening on the Friday before first, and that was for the Ultra Instinct people, and then you had 2 other con days, and it was quite evident by the Sunday, it's like it was not supposed to be a 3-day event, because by Sunday everyone was tired. The attendance was so low. It was like you're barely getting like about, I don't know, like
Sundays are a
30
very
people.
weird day for conventions in general.
It can be.
Certainly with some of the other, even the like quite big ones here in the UK, the last day tends to be one where it's very much people are deciding whether they stay or whether they go. I will say from experience, on one of the conventions that I was working at, we noticed that it was a 4-day convention, but one of those days was the bank holiday Monday, was the last day, and the Sunday was quite bad. It wasn't dead, but it wasn't particularly busy, and a lot of people were very much, is it worth us coming back for Monday? And quite a lot of people just didn't bother. And yeah, Monday was supposedly dead as a door now. I wasn't working the Monday, thankfully. But yeah, supposedly it was pretty dire.
Yeah, but other than like the attendance for the event itself, I actually had some fun. I've obviously, if you follow me on Twitter at TurboXLR, I posted a ton of pictures of me with the voice actor guests that was there. Got to meet Moscow X as well, who's quite a relevant YouTuber within the Dragon Ball community and whatnot. Was checking out a lot of stuff. Bought a few things for myself. At this Dragon Ball convention, I bought myself bloomin' Cardcaptor Sakura plushes of Kiro and Soupy from Cardcaptor Sakura. So it's like, yeah, it definitely goes to show you what I'm like.
They know where their audience crosses over with.
Yeah, well, it's anime in general, but no, the big thing that happened during that convention was I won myself a statue of Frieza.
Nice.
And granted, I didn't win it for me. I won it for a friend because I was gonna go there with a friend, and obviously Josh knows about this. Yes. Where I offered a spare ticket that I paid for to anyone in the LMC cast or LMC crew, but sadly, because of being at such short notice, I couldn't get rid of it and whatnot.
And Milton Keynes is a bit of a nightmare to get to from pretty much anywhere.
Well, I mean, it was okay for me. I mean, I was able to get there. I traveled. Flew down on the plane to Luton, and then I took a coach from Luton to Milton Keynes, and then took a taxi from Milton Keynes to the venue, and I was actually staying at the hotel that was at that venue as well. So
yeah, I can imagine that helped. Milton Keynes as a navigational exercise is an interesting one. I will tell you. Oh,
don't worry. If it's anything like Perth up here in Scotland, yeah.
That's not the issue. The issue is the fact that this is a complete tangent. Milton Keynes is based on American road systems, so everything's in a grid. The only difference is there's a roundabout in the middle rather than traffic lights. So you have to know which grid reference your place you're going on is and navigate around that way. It's very weird.
Yeah. Although I'll also say this, there's one particular... I'm gonna shame them right here. There's a taxi company that is so shit. They are so bad. I am going to name and shame them right now. I'm going to name and shame them on this live cast. Whatever you do, if you go to Milton Keynes, do not, I repeat, do not use Milton Keynes 24/7 taxis. They are shit. They know they're shit. They are unreliable. And you should never, ever, 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 ever take their business whatsoever. Don't even call them. Do not give them any business because they are crap. I'll tell you that much because I've dealt with them once before. In fact, I actually dealt with them twice. Once to try to get over there. They didn't bother to show up. And then I had to call them again to get them to show up to take me there. And then when I called for a returning taxi to take me back to the coach station, whatnot, they didn't even bother to show the fuck up. And sorry I swore on this stream because obviously we don't normally swear on this. But no, I was that pissed. So, it's like, trust me, whatever you do, if you're in Milton Keynes and you don't have a car yourself, do not, for the life of you, use Milton Keynes 24/7 taxis. I guarantee you they will disappoint every single time. That's my rant over on that. But other than that, I had a good time. I had a good time at the con. I had fun with the guests and whatnot. And like I said, if you want to see what that was like, follow me on Twitter. I've posted a multi-thread up on there and various other kind of like photos of me at the con and whatnot, and you can check it out.
So I have 2 conventions coming up, and one of them is the reason I will not be doing LMC Cast next month. So there are 2 major ones in the UK in the next month. EGX, or Eurogamer Expo, which will be held on the 17th, I believe, of October, and then there's MCM the week afterwards. And I will be at both for work. So if you would like to come and play Zombie Army 4 or buy 2000 AD merch, come and find me, basically.
Yeah. Well, there's your plug for from Urtheart there.
Yeah, they're good shows. I've been to EGX, I think, now every year for the last 4 years for work. But I tend to take a day off to go look around as well. And yeah, MCM. I don't 100% know I'm working there yet, but either way, I'll probably be sticking my head in. So, so those are coming up, along with a game release in 2 days from this recording. So by the time it probably goes up, it's out.
Yeah, so have a look out for that in the month of October then.
If you own a Switch.
Yeah, if you have a Switch, of course. But for now, that is us for this edition of the Last Minute Continue cast with Urtheart. Thank you very much for joining me for here. Is there anything you would like to plug other than gaming stuff and whatnot?
Watch Last Minute Continue on YouTube, I guess. We have recently recorded some pirate-themed fun. Should be up at some point. Yeah,
alright, so just be on the lookout for that. That's part of the Tabletop Simulator series of videos that's been hosted on the Last Minute Continue, so go check that out.
Yeah, it's a brand new
whenever
game
that hits
on Tabletop that you won't have seen before. It's actually quite an old board game, but it's a good classic.
Oldie but a goodie,
yeah.
I think.
It's one I've actually played physically and enjoyed it so much. Recommended it to the rest of the crew.
Fair enough. Cool. Well, with all that said, that is us for this month's edition of the Last Minute Continue cast. Thank you very much for listening, and I've been John Turbo Finley. You can follow me on Twitter at TurboXLR, like I said before, as well as Instagram, same @tag as well. And if you want to see what my gaming streams as well, check out the Turbo Drive Live Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Turbo Drive Live. That's my personal Twitch and whatnot, where you can see me streaming currently just now on the Wednesdays. Zelda Link's Awakening, on the Fridays, Doom 2, Hell on Earth, and on the Saturdays, it's Mega Man X, and we'll probably be finishing that up by the time this actually goes out. So, thanks very much for listening. Take care. Have a great month ahead of you, and we'll see you next month for here on the Last Minute Continue cast. Take care.
Take care.